The final day of competition at the World Relays is over, and the action on the track was wild. Don't get me wrong. You can watch the race highlights, and that tells some of the story. But if you didn't actually watch it live, then you really don't know what actually happened. And that's what you have me for, to tell you. Because I got up incredibly early in the morning on Mother's Day. So allow me to say, shout out to all the mothers, happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to my wife for that matter, because she is an amazing mother to our children. That said, you deserve to know what happened, and I am going to tell you. Simply put, there is a very good reason why we actually go out there and run the races, because no matter how fast you are supposed to be, we don't know what's actually going to happen yet. You gotta run all the way through the line. And unfortunately, some teams who have a whole lot of speed, and you know who I'm talking about, struggled with pulling that off for whatever the reason. And as a result, they did not qualify for the World Championships. I mean, at least not right now. They may have to get a wild card or something. So, I'm pretty sure that if you came this far, you really want to know what happened, and I'm going to get to the action. And it all started with the mixed relay, which, just to remind you, this event, because each event has some different particulars, the mixed relay is a new event, and we're talking about the mixed 4x1 specifically, and what they were doing at this World Relays was not necessarily a qualifier for World Championships or anything like that. So it was like a gold medal being handed out for this event, but that's it. It's not a qualifier for something in the future. If you want to go to Worlds next year, or how they're going to set things up for 2026, 2028, you're still going to have to qualify again. And Team USA did not qualify for the final in the mixed 4x1. I've already shared my thoughts on that, so there's no need to go back on it now. When we do look at the field, regardless of their speed, they ain't there anymore. But Jamaica actually was. When the mixed 4x1 was over, the top three teams were in this order: Canada, then Jamaica, then Great Britain. But to clarify, Canada ran 40.3 seconds. And if you don't really know what that means, all you need to know is their anchor leg took care of business, which is why they were solidly in front when the race was over. It's technically, I guess, a brand new world record since the event is essentially brand new itself. But yes, they get a gold medal for their trouble, but it's not a qualifier for anything beyond that, at least not yet. And it is encouraging to see a Jamaican team get all the way around the track and get some type of hardware, even though I'm pretty sure silver is not exactly what they wanted. And the next event on the track was the mixed 4x4 qualifiers. So you know what that means. These are the teams that didn't make the World Relays final, but they had to go top 3 in their heat if they wanted a spot at the World Championship meet. So yes, there are very real stakes in this race. In the first heat, Spain, Germany, and China held on to qualify. What that also means is that Jamaica, who is in that heat, was eliminated. They will not be running the mixed relay at the World Championships, as far as we can tell. And in the second qualifying heat, Italy, France, and Canada also advanced. After that were the qualifying rounds for the women's 4x4. More or less the same rules as what we just saw. The teams that got eliminated in the first round, but if they go top 3 in their heat, they have a chance to go to the Worlds. Again, very real stakes. Between both heats, the qualifiers were as follows: Great Britain, Belgium, then Poland, and in the second heat you had Ireland, Australia, and Switzerland. Notice, I didn't say anything about Jamaica, because even though they ran in the first round, they elected not to run in the women's 4x4 in the second qualifying round. They basically just mailed it in. They did not run well on the first day. And if you're looking at the clock, like just analyzing, I didn't say it. The announcers on Peacock said it. That at the Jamaican High School Champs, apparently, because I didn't look it up myself, there were 3 high school teams that ran even faster than what that women's team put out there. But you do need people who are fast enough for you to qualify through to the Worlds. Hey, the women's 4x4 is going to go off without them, at least this year at the Worlds. And interestingly enough, the men's 4x4 qualifying rounds, same rule as the women. Remember, these are the teams that are fighting to get to Worlds, but they're not in the World Relays final. Top 3, that's what you need if you want to go. Jamaica and the USA were going to line up in these heats, because they were not qualified through to the World Relays final based on their day 1 performances. It just is what it is. In the first qualifier, Brazil and the Netherlands went top 2. But Jamaica held on for number 3. When I say held on, that's exactly what I mean. Because it was less than 0.2 of a second that separated them from not getting that spot. But in the second qualifier, Team USA took care of business, because although Australia and Qatar were behind them, USA was clearly ahead of everybody else. That means they ran at least what was at that moment a world-leading time to correct what had happened in the first round. They actually rearranged the order in order to put themselves in better position, and clearly it worked out. And then we were on to the women's 4x1 qualifier race. You're starting to see a theme here. They saved all the finals for the back part. The top 3 finishers earning their spots were France, Italy, and Chile. To put this in perspective, Chile has never made a world championship in the women's 4x1 until now. And for the second heat, it was China, Switzerland, and Poland. But I do have to be real with you. The men's 4x1 in the qualifying round was incredibly important, because Jamaica famously did not get around the track during the first qualifying round. So they weren't going to the World Relays final, but they could still get to the World Championships. They just had to take care of business. And well, allow me to just rip the band-aid off and tell you what actually happened. But if you're new here, I want to say thank you for even making it this far into the video. And I'm Coach Rob, and if you really want to know what's going on with the fastest athletes in the world, then you are in the right place. And if anything that I say actually connects with you, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe. But if I don't, just let me know in the comment section, because I try to read them all. In the men's 4x1 qualifying rounds, France and Ghana earned qualification spots out of the first heat. And to clarify, although I probably don't have to tell you this part, I'm going to say it anyway. Ghana used current college runners as their leadoff and as their anchor. I recognize those names: Barnabas Agur and Ibrahim Fusini. And if Ibrahim was not on that anchor, they were not going to go top 2, because he ran them all the way up there. And then there was Heat 2. And I told you I would just rip the band-aid off, because Jamaica was on the starting line for that one, so here we go. Belgium and Kenya were the qualifiers, but Jamaica didn't even finish through the line. They didn't even get to stick to their third leg this time. And the reason is because the second leg for Jamaica pulled up with an injury while running. I know that it's technically nobody's fault, and I have to admit that while I was watching it, my jaw didn't just drop. I was in really a degree of emotional shock, or even heartbreak for Jamaica, because that is not supposed to happen. It's one thing for a team to lose because they mess up the baton pass. You can blame people. This time, they don't even get the opportunity to get to stick around. So it was a rough situation, and I'm sure it's rough for the team. I mean, Kashane Thompson flew over to China to run the anchor leg at the World Relays and did not actually run an anchor leg in either a qualifier or even, I guess you could say, a second qualifier. He literally just never touched the stick. For that matter, even Johan Blake never really got to run his leg. Also, I'm not sure if I clarified it properly, but only 2 teams for the men's heats actually get qualifying spots. And there was a third heat. So in that one, it was China and Australia who actually earned them. I do have a few more thoughts that I'm going to share on specifically what happened in the 4x1s. But I'm going to get to that once we get through the women's and the men's 4x1 finals. Because trust me, neither of those went according to plan. In the mixed 4x4 final, this is one of the few events that I kind of felt like I knew how it was going to end. Team USA goes out there, takes care of business. They were clearly the best team, at least on the clock, and what we got in the race by the time it was all over. So yes, finally, Team USA gets a gold medal, for what it's worth. As for second and third, Australia and Kenya held on for those spots. The mixed 4x4, it's an interesting event. Of course, America never really sends out our heavy hitters for it. We kind of assemble a roster of talented athletes and just trust that that's going to make it work. But hey, as Otto Bolden says, if you have the deepest bench when it comes to the 400 and the 400 hurdles, I mean, what do you really expect? You should be able to hold serve in just about any 4x4. But as we know, you still got to go out there and run the races. And now we can finally talk about what I consider to be the main event: the women's 4x1 and the men's 4x1. Both of these are World Relays finals. So being in this race means that you're going to be at the World Championship. But there's still a medal on the line. So, all that being said, let's go to the women's race. Because Team USA and Jamaica were both on the starting line. It's simple for us to assume that they should have been the teams at the top of the leaderboards when it was all done. In Jamaica's case, they ran pretty close to an A team, because when you have Shelly Ann Fraser-Price and Sharika Jackson out there, that's about as close as we're going to get to an A team. I do have to put out there also that Tia Clayton did not run her leg. She subbed out. So they moved their first leg over to third, and they substituted in a new first leg. For Team USA, they ran the exact same team that they ran in the qualifying round in the final. But that team only has one person on it whom most people might recognize. That would be Twanisha Terry, who's running an anchor leg. She's done it in the past, but at the Olympics and at the Worlds in 2023, 2024, that was not her role. When the gun goes off and the race plays itself out, the fast teams get around the track. But when you get to that home straight, nothing looked the way we thought it would, because Jamaica and the USA were not out in front. In fact, Spain was actually the team in first place. If you weren't watching the race, I'm going to narrate it, because Great Britain runs their way all the way to the front. That means they ran past Sharika Jackson, and they also ran past Twanisha Terry. Hey, it is what it is, and you can say what you want, but this is Great Britain without their two fastest runners, the ones who were in the Olympic final. So, hey, they're not at full strength either, and they figured it out. And then Spain, who started off the anchor leg in front, because they handed off the baton flawlessly. They actually held on for second place. So if you do the math on that, you can already assume either USA or Jamaica is not getting the medal. And in this case, it was Team USA who ended up on the outside of that. They got fourth place, and Jamaica held on for third. That was the women's 4x1 at the World Relays. You can come up with whatever excuses you want to explain those results. Spain, for the most part, ran their best team. But Great Britain did not. Jamaica got close to it, at least on paper. And Team USA did not, but hey, that's what we put out there. And the results were as follows. The women of Team USA specifically have taken care of business more often than not in the past decade and beyond. Can't say the same for the men. And trust me, we're getting to them in a moment. But the women have. But this World Relays performance, where they don't go top three, is proof that you can't just send anybody out there. Because it wasn't like they ran a terrible race. They just got beat. Just being real about it. And after all that, we still had the men's 4x1 final, where Team USA was actually lining up this time. And to set the stage, if you weren't already aware, the team that we put out there was the same team that ran at the World Relays last year and won. The only difference was the anchor leg, because Noah Lyles was the anchor leg on that roster, and he was not there anymore. Brandon Hicklin ran in his place. Kenny Bednarik was still the second leg, Courtney Lindsay was still the leadoff, and Kyrie King was still third. So I don't even know if you would call it full strength, because we like to swap out our relays by the time we get to Worlds anyway. So I don't even know if we're going to see these guys, certainly not in this order, showing up at that level. We might, but then again, we might not. However, this is the team that Team USA puts out there. When the gun goes off, you have to understand that South Africa and Canada, who are coming off of Olympic medals, are also in the race. Team USA did pretty well. Got the baton to the anchor leg in first place. That is very important. But they did not win the race, because South Africa gets to stick to Akani Simbine, who controversially is the fastest man in the world right now. I say controversially because people have mixed feelings about whether or not he deserves that title or not, but he took care of business. He ran down Brandon Hicklin and made sure that he got to the line in front. We didn't have to check the boards anymore. We knew South Africa was the champion. So Team USA gets second, which I don't really know how to feel about it, because I guess it's a good thing. Like, we actually got a time and we actually finished in a final, and I guess we're even going home with hardware. But when you're Team USA and you go into a 4x1, a nation that, statistically speaking, say what you want, we win the majority of the medals in the 100 and the 200. We even did the same thing in Paris. We won 2 out of every 3 medals in both of those. You're supposed to win 4x1s. I'm just saying. And if you look at who was in third, of course, it was Canada. They actually butchered their first baton pass. Like, it did not go well at all. And they still held on for third. So, Canada's going to be just fine by the time we get to the Worlds. This was just a warm-up. which is why you actually run the races with the team that's going to go out there, because now they have time to fix it. The meet finished off with the women's and men's 4x4 finals, and you deserve to know what happened, so I'm going to tell you. In the women's 4x4, I'll be honest, I fully expected America to run away with it. But remember that deep bench I mentioned? We dipped pretty hard into that bench for this 4x4. So no, America did not win the gold. Spain pulled it out. They won the world relays in the 4x4, with Team USA in second, and the women of South Africa were right behind them in third. And then when you look at the men's 4x4, it looked incredibly similar to what we just saw in the men's 4x1 in the winner's circle, because South Africa won that event as well. This time it was Belgium and Botswana behind them. I'm going to bring this up. Botswana getting third was a surprise to me, because some of their fastest 400 runners were supposed to run at the world relays, Leslie Taboho included, and did not actually compete. So they must have a much deeper bench than anybody realizes for them to hold on to get third in this event without multiple of their top guys. And now that the World Relays competition is officially over, I do have to take a moment to come down and just process what it all actually means. Because the World Championships is what most people are paying attention to. And many of these teams were just trying to qualify for the World Championships. Like, that was the victory. But when you are one of the fastest nations, and I guess the list of who we put up there as the fastest nations is starting to shift a little bit. Because I now see it in two groups. You have the ones that historically, and if you look at the top of the leaderboards, they put fast people in the sprinting events all the way up there. That's still going to be USA and Jamaica. We always expect them to have names at the top of the boards. But then you have the other teams that have been historically competitive in the relays. We now have a few new teams, but we already know Canada is one of them. South Africa is clearly another. Botswana is improving, like they've been consistently improving, and they're much deeper than we pay attention to. And Spain, from what I can tell, especially on the women's side, is no longer playing games anymore. You always got to take Great Britain seriously. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. So when we get to the World Championships, I fully expect that Team USA is going to come with our biggest guns. We're going to do it in the 4x1s, we're going to do it in the 4x4s, and even the quality of talent that we put on the mixed relays. I mean, like, who's going to end up on there? Yes, those names are going to change a little bit from who you just saw at the World Relays. That said, especially in the 4x1s, practice and running together actually makes a difference. And because we really don't know what's going to happen between now and then as far as the orders. I mean, at least the Jamaican women now have some opportunity to figure things out. Hopefully the Jamaican men can find some kind of way to wildcard their way into the Worlds, because we want to see Jamaica with all of their fastest men represented in a race to celebrate the fastest men going out there to prove it. But Team USA, on the men's side, because the women, generally, they figure it out. Like, World Relay didn't go ideal, but at least there's a history of them figuring it out. For the men, we're just going to have to stay tuned for that one. Because as far as I'm concerned, I hope we just at least send out the same team we just did. Just send them back. They're fast enough. They can get second at the World Relays, running with Canada and South Africa, more or less giving you their real teams. Teams that showed up to the Olympic Games and got medals, one of which was a gold medal. There's no reason to believe that the men we just put out there can't figure it out and then run again at the World Championship meet. I mean, we're probably not going to do that. We're probably going to start swapping some things around. And in the case that we do, I'm going to continue to hold my breath. Just saying. Shout out to all of the athletes who competed over there in China. And I also have to say Happy Mother's Day once again as we celebrate it here in America. All that being said, this is still the sport of track and field, where if you're not in first place, even in a relay, and yes, I'm specifically talking about a casual track fan. I did say that part. But if you're not in first place, you might as well be in last, especially when you're American in a 4x1, and that's that. In the sport of track and field, race day is honestly the easy part, because all of the real work gets put in when nobody is watching. When you wear every day is training day gear, you can let the whole world know that your success in competition is not an accident. Order yours at scarecruiting.com/shop or use the link in the description below, and it always comes with free shipping. It's a huge support to me and this channel, so I can continue to make you more content like this. And remember, it is always greatly appreciated if you would please like and subscribe.